You have a photo of yourself at age 1. You are laughing. Someone is holding you. You have no idea who took that picture. You have no idea what happened 5 minutes before it or 5 minutes after it. That moment is gone, not hidden, not buried, gone. And the strange part is not that you forgot it. The strange part is that your brain was working perfectly fine when it happened. So where did it go? This is going to feel personal, because it is. Every single person alive shares this exact gap. Nobody remembers being born. Almost nobody remembers being 2. Most people's earliest memory sits somewhere around age 3 or 4, and even that memory is probably wrong in some small way. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than simple forgetting. Your brain was not broken during those years. It was busy building something else entirely. Scientists call this childhood memory gap infantile amnesia. Not because babies have amnesia in the way an adult might after a head injury. It just means the total, near-universal loss of memories from the first 2 to 4 years of life. Sigmund Freud was the one who coined the term over a century ago. He guessed it happened because children repressed early experiences, pushing them down out of psychological discomfort. It was a clever theory. It was also completely wrong. Modern neuroscience has a much more physical explanation, and it starts with a part of your brain shaped like a seahorse. It's called the hippocampus. Decode that. Hippo, from the Greek word for horse. Campos, for sea monster. Ancient anatomists thought the structure looked like a tiny curled seahorse tucked inside the brain. That name stuck. And this seahorse-shaped structure happens to be the part of your brain responsible for turning short-term experience into long-term, retrievable memory. Not emotion, not motor skills. Specifically the kind of memory where you can consciously recall, this happened, at this place, on this day. Here's the problem. In infancy, that structure is still under construction. Researchers have tracked this using a mix of animal studies and human brain imaging. Neurons in the hippocampus are still multiplying rapidly during the first years of life in a process called neurogenesis. New cells are constantly being added to the circuit, and every time a new neuron gets wired in, it can disrupt the connections holding an existing memory in place. Think of it like a construction crew rewiring an entire building while people are still living in it. The wiring changes so often that nothing sticks the way it needs to. Psychologist Patricia Bauer, who has spent decades studying memory development in children, found something that seems almost contradictory at first. Toddlers can absolutely form memories. She showed this by testing whether very young children could recall specific past events, and they clearly could, at least in the short term. A 2-year-old can remember what happened yesterday, sometimes even last week. So the memories exist. The issue isn't creation, it's storage. It's whether those memories survive the ongoing renovation happening in the hippocampus long enough to become permanent. And here's where it gets almost unfair. Even the memories that do survive early childhood don't survive untouched. Psychologist Carol Peterson spent years interviewing children about memories from their earliest years, then went back and interviewed the same children again, years later, as they grew older. What she found was that many of the memories shifted over time. Details changed. Some children retained a memory of an event but became less confident it was even real, or believed it happened at a different age than it actually did. Memory during early childhood isn't just fragile, it's fluid. It bends every time it's revisited. So think about what that means for that photo of you laughing at age 1. Even if a fragment of that day did somehow survive in your brain, cognitive scientist Nora Newcomb's research suggests something else gets in the way before you're even old enough to store it properly. Language. Very young children don't yet have the words to encode an experience into a structured narrative. No sentence structure to hang the memory on. No timeline. No, this happened, then that happened, then this. Just sensation. Just color, sound, feeling. And a memory without structure has almost nothing to hold on to later. Here's a question worth sitting with for a second. If you can't remember any of it, did that time even shape you? The answer, overwhelmingly, is yes. This is maybe the strangest twist in the whole story. Just because you can't consciously recall your first 2 years doesn't mean those years didn't leave a mark. There's a difference between what scientists call explicit memory, the kind you can consciously describe, and implicit memory, the kind that shapes behavior, emotional responses, and instincts without ever entering conscious thought. Implicit memory develops much earlier than explicit memory. It doesn't rely on the hippocampus the same way. It lives more in structures tied to habit, emotion, and reflex. This is why a baby who was held gently and responded to consistently often grows into a toddler who trusts easily without remembering a single specific hug. This is why certain smells, songs, or textures can trigger a wave of comfort or unease in an adult with zero memory of why. The moments are gone. The architecture they built is not. Now here's the modern mirror, because this isn't just a story about babies. It's a story about how memory works for you, right now, today. Every time you learn something new, your brain is doing a smaller, quieter version of what it did when you were 2. Wiring new neurons, disrupting old patterns to make room. This is part of why intensely learning a new skill, or moving to a new place, or going through an emotionally overwhelming period can sometimes make older memories feel hazier, harder to locate. Your hippocampus never fully stops renovating. It just slows down enough by adulthood that most memories can survive the construction. And there's something else. Think about how often you've had a memory that felt completely solid, only to find out later a detail was wrong. A person who wasn't actually there. An event that happened on a different day than you remembered. That's not a flaw unique to childhood memory. Carol Peterson's research on shifting childhood memories mirrors what memory researchers find in adults constantly. Memory was never a recording. It was never a video file sitting untouched in storage, waiting to be replayed exactly as it happened. Every act of remembering is closer to a reconstruction. Your brain rebuilds the moment each time you recall it, using whatever fragments and context are available. And each rebuild can shift the structure slightly. So maybe the real reason you can't remember being a baby isn't loss in the way it feels. It's not that those years vanished into nothing. It's that your brain was doing the most important construction work it will ever do. And it simply didn't have the finished architecture yet to save the receipts. Tonight, if you have a photo of yourself as an infant, look at it again. You won't remember the moment. You never will. But somewhere in the way you flinch at loud noises, or feel calm near water, or trust the sound of a particular voice, that time is still there. Not as a memory, as a foundation. You are building the version of yourself that would eventually be able to remember anything at all. You just weren't finished yet.